thing with the music and the output as far as people being able to hear it. It doesn't stream straight. It goes in and out. It loops, et cetera, et cetera. But they say our voices sound good. At least my voice sounds good. And Manuel
Uh,
says, and David says, I hear you both. Manuel says, yes, good both. So we're both sounding good, but the music is not sounding good, which is a shame because I had some great music for
wow.
us to share with the audience. Yeah, something went wrong. I don't
I
know what
heard
it is.
something fluctuating. I heard the music because I was listening a little while ago,
Yeah,
and the music was fluctuating a little bit.
yeah, it
So
goes in and out. So my apologies because I wanted to share all this great music. I had the whole album. We were listening. I want to hear the whole album with everybody, but we'll talk. That's a good thing. The thing is that you're there. We're live. Both of us are healthy. It's so good to see you, my brother. Thank you for taking time. I know you're a very busy person, and on a Sunday and Memorial Day weekend, the fact that you would take time from your family to be with us is a blessing. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And Divina sends her regards as well. So thank you.
well, thank you, Jose. As you know, ustedes son super querido en mi libro, in my book. You and Divina and the family, and we know each other for so many years. So proud to know you. I can't thank you enough for all that you do as a champion of our community and somebody who's really clear on his mission as a Latino to represent the best of who we are, because that's important to me, and you know that's where I live. So, thank you, bro. It's always fun. And I was supposed to come on last week, but my daughter Nadiana had a recital just in the middle of it, and I didn't realize it. You know, when I looked at the time, I said, "Oh wow, I'm not going to be able to do it." So, but I'm here today. Happy to be here.
Well, thank you so much. And we've got regards. D. Rivera says, hola, Oscar. Hello, Oscar from Ray Barreto's family. Have followed your career and so proud of you. So there's a nice little shout out to you from D. Rivera. And thank you, D,
Thank you,
for
D.
tuning in.
And you know, Ray Barreto, when I look back at my career, was such a huge inspiration that I'm so grateful for. You know, I think I spent 6 or 7 years with Ray, maybe 7 or 8. I don't remember the exact uh, timetable of what that was, but I know I've recorded 6 records with Ray, that all of which I'm super proud of, and basically he's one of the models that I have of now being a band leader and being my own. Visionary, being trying to be a visionary in the likes of somebody like Ray Barreto, who was such a pioneer and somebody who set a high standard. So nothing but gratitude. And the new Spanish Harlem Orchestra record that's going to be coming out in the near future is dedicated to Ray.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, that's good news to hear. And last night on the radio show, I started off the 5 hour program with the first two tracks were Tumbao Africano, and the second track was Algo Nuevo from the Reconstruction album, of which you're very much part of course, and your arrangements are part of the whole album, which is, in my opinion, one of the greatest albums that, well, all the albums were great by Ray, but that one in
Yeah.
particular had a very special, special place in the canon of work that Ray Barretto did. Partly, I guess it was because he was away for a while and he was doing some Latin jazz, which was, very important at that period of time. But I think he found that right hand and left hand combination of being able to do some Latin jazz and still be able to do some great dance music. And Reconstruction, I think, was an example of that album. But that's a beautiful album. That's a great album. Great album.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And it's kind of a seminal project recording for a lot of musicians. I've been told, throughout the course of my career that that was an album that they were really studying and looking into in terms of how progressive it was. It kind of was ahead of its time, but that's part and parcel what Ray was about, always being ahead of his time and being such an advocate for creating and creating and creating and constantly creating. So I'm proud to have known him, and proud to say that he was an important part of who I am today.
Before we jump to the Spanish Harlem Orchestra soon to be released album dedicated to Ray Barretto, you spoke about your daughter, and there's a track on the new one titled No Words Needed, the New York band, La Princesa, which is dedicated to Nadiana Arisa Hernandez. She's the young lady that did the piano recital last Sunday, yes?
Yes, exactly. She's 17, and I've been very much involved in trying to be a great dad to her. With my older kids, it was hard because I was traveling. It's a long story I won't get into, But really, as I got older, realized the importance of being present as a dad, and the importance of trying to help guide her, and letting her be all that she can be. And she's super talented. I don't know if music is in her future. It certainly can, because she's super talented and she's that good. But
Mm.
she's got other interests right now, and we'll see. But I wanted to dedicate this song, which I recorded previously on one of the Spanish Harlem Orchestra records. By the way, this is a
Mm-hmm.
different version with my small
Mm-hmm.
man, but
Mm-hmm.
happy to be able to dedicate it to her.
You have a tendency, well, not a tendency, something that I admire, and you're talking about being present as a father for Nadiana and your other daughter as well. Family is embedded in your recordings because I remember the danzón for your sisters. I remember Doña Provi, two songs that come to mind. One, Doña Provi to your mom, the other one to your sisters. Let's talk about family when we talk about you as a musician, because you brought to light something that many people don't understand on this side, right? It's similar to the song El Cantante that Ruben wrote for Hector Lavoe, where people have this view of your life being this glamorous life, limousines, great hotels, great food, great, all this
Uh,
kind of stuff, but they don't understand the sacrifice that you have to do on the other side. My wife and my kids say to me, Dad, we've been sharing you for close to 5 decades. We've been sharing you. And by that, what they're saying, they've sacrificed because they've shared me with the public, right? And it's their way of sort of like saying, remember that you're a husband and you're a father, so be a father and be a husband, not just be Jose Maso, the public figure. Touch a little bit about those two things. One, the role of family inspiring you now, particularly in the music, those three songs that I mentioned, La Princesa, Danzón para your sisters, and what's the name of that one? Danzón
that song para las seis.
para las seis,
Because I have a
and
six sisters. I
six
also
sisters.
wrote that song for my father, which is
Yes, that's the
originally
other one, the one that David
Dave,
Valentin did.
Dave Valentine, and then we
Yeah,
recorded it with Spanish Harlem Orchestra. So,
yeah.
Jose, I think a lot comes with, reaching a certain age in your life, and trying to get a perspective on the whole entirety of the person that you are, so you can be a better person every day, right? And for me, it's, in your youth, you take so many things for granted. You just do. I don't know why that is, but as you get older, you realize, wait a minute. I remember when I turned 50, I said, wow, you really get in touch with your mortality when you turn 50 years old, because you go like, man, wait a minute. I don't have a lot of time left. And when you turn 60, you go like, oh my God. So for me, I have to look back at all those things that brought me to where I am today. And I'm very much in trying to be, living in the moment, and be aware of being present in my life, which I wasn't always present in my life. But thankfully, I have guardian angels, and God has put a path in front of me that I followed, and it's taken me to some great places. Yeah. So when you think about it, uh, I remember when my good friend Jorge Gonzalez passed away, and a month later we were doing a concert in Arostos, uh, and I was trying to convey, what people mean to you. And I said, with this band and with musicians, especially with Spanish Harlem Orchestra, we constantly are sharing hotels, we're sharing plane rides, we're sharing concerts, we're sharing meals, we're sharing dressing rooms. There's something that you don't really share with your family,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
but you realize your family is really that important. So, yeah, your band becomes part of your family in a way, in a different way, and they are. But they're not sharing your apartment, your house, your bedroom. They're not sharing meals and everything that you do. Schools, teachers, cousins, sisters, brothers, aunts, uncles. They're not sharing that as well. So there are two different dynamics, and the dynamic as family is really important, and especially me, when I realized the importance of trying to be a good father, and
Mm-hmm.
trying to be present for her as much as I can, because you grow up with us all being humans that we are. We make so many mistakes, right? And I try to hopefully live in the eyes of God, being the best person that I can be. So it takes a commitment. It takes a conscious commitment to you to say, look, I want to try to be present. What do you need? How can I help? I'm there. I always tell people, that are important to me, I'm a phone call away.
Right. You've
And
said
I
that.
am.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm a phone call away. So the truth of the matter is, if you need me, I like to think if I can be there. So especially for family. So um, it's different from the dynamics of friends and relationships with, again, musicians who, we're on a tour to Europe and we're sharing hotel rooms, bus rides, train rides, plane rides, dressing rooms, all of those things we're sharing constantly. And it becomes you become aware of the differences of what those things mean, and yeah, they become your family. It's no different from like sports figures that are sharing teams when they go on the road and sharing meals, but they go home to their family, right? So
Mhm.
uh it's a beautiful thing either way, bro. It really is.
No, we know that. We know that, and there's nothing like coming home to your bed and being with your loved ones of surroundings, sharing a meal. I was blessed today. We had a meal with all of our family, celebrating all the things that we are so blessed to celebrate, which was just a beautiful thing to see them all together. And it was like, Divina in particular, the matriarch of the family, was feeling like, wow, I've got my grandchildren, great grandchildren, everybody are here. So she was feeling and it's a special moment. And I raised that about family because I'm with you. You and I are already in the seventh floor of life. In August, I'll be 74 years old. So, like you, when I hit 50 was the year that, so like, hit me upside my head and say, wait a second. you know, the, day,
uh,
the days are moving fast and they're going in that direction, not in the back. But, but the thing is that by you articulating that, and I always remember when I first heard Danson for My Father by Dave Valentin, which was a great rendition of that selection. I
no
always
doubt.
wanted you to record, and you finally did. And I said, yes, this was Scott doing his version of the song that he wrote for his dad, which in my mind is just, at the same level as Horace Silver's, the song for my father. I mean, it's just, that beautiful of a song. But the fact that you have put a portfolio, an album, if you will, of songs that are dedicated to dad, mom, sisters, daughter. And I met your two daughters at the Newport Jazz Festival. I want to say
That's
maybe three
right.
years ago, maybe three
Three,
or four
four years
years ago.
ago. Yeah.
Yeah. I met them there, and I was delighted to meet them. I was honored that I could spend some time with them. They were delightful, both of them. But you've done that with this particular album where you dedicate that one song to her. So let's talk about the album because you speak about family. You're in the West Coast. You've been living in the LA areas now close to a decade, if I'm not mistaken. How long have you
No
been there now?
more. I've been there for 17 years, as long as my daughter. I moved here because of her, because she was being born here, and I got married. And she's the reason that I came. Besides, my oldest daughter was raised here,
Uh huh.
Lisa, who was raised here. At that time, I said, "Hey, let's go." Whenever I have the opportunity to be able to take them, which is not a lot,
Yeah.
because it's always expensive. Plane rides, hotel, the whole deal. So when my daughter was born, I decided to give Los Angeles a try. Although I'm in New York a lot, the band's in New York, and they travel from there. And I have kind of one foot, on each state in a way. But yeah, I've been here for 17 years.
I didn't realize it was that long. It is 17 years. Wow. Yes, close to 2 decades. Well, you now have this new album, Alma Libre, which is the name of your smaller group that you've been working with and recording with in LA. But this one, it's Slash, the New York band. How was it that you thought, let me record something on the East Coast with some of the cats that I know so well? Because the names I rattled off before, Bobby Franceschini, Robbie Amin, Johnny Benitez, Samuel Torres, and then you invite Alex Norris, of course, on flugelhorn, and the great Andrea Brockfield on flute. What was that? Let me do something in the East Coast with a small group.
Well, I mean, this is my fourth uh, project with Alma Libre, and it's always meant to me for me to put my best foot forward as a composer and as a pianist in the different night for Spanish Harlem Orchestra. Latin jazz is something that's deep, in my tradition as a young musician in New York, and always been part of who I am as well. I don't get to really feature that. But when I moved to LA, I didn't want to form a salsa band here
Hmm.
because I had Spanish Harlem Orchestra, and I'm clear that I'm from New York and I'm born and raised in New York, and it's an important part of who I am. But I decided, well, I could do something in terms of Latin jazz in Los Angeles. And the first three records were recorded here with great musicians: Jimmy Brantley, Oscar Cartaya, Justo Almario. So I wanted to this time just throw a little bit of different spice on the plate that I was creating, or the plate that I was cooking. And I said, what the hell? I'm from New York. I have a lot of great musicians that I've been associated with all these years that I know that I could rely upon. So let me just try to do it in New York. And I didn't realize it, but Robbie mentioned it. Me, Bobby Franceschini, John Benitez, and uh,
Was it?
Wait, yeah, me, Bobby Franceschini, John Benitez, and Robbie Amin were part of the Say Solal record that we recorded.
That's
So
right.
inviting them back on the second record, it was them, and these are my friends that we go back, now 30 something years, and uh, I realized that I just called them because they're great musicians and they're people who understand where I come from, what I'm trying to achieve, the concept that I'm trying to attain. And man, I'm so happy with the results. It's been getting great reviews, great feedback. I love the way it sounds. I mean, I wouldn't put nothing out if I didn't love it myself, and I absolutely do. It's always you're putting yourself out there on a limb in terms of a composer, in terms of a pianist, and I feel good about what we were able to accomplish on No Words Needed with these incredible musicians. The new guy is Samuel Torres, who is super young, talented percussionist from Colombia
Hmm.
that's been living in New York for a number of years. And I played with him in a few different occasions and saw how talented he was, that he can equally fit in all kind of styles and excel. And was happy to have him be part of this and let him create his magic on my music. Same thing with the other guys.
So Samuel Torres, that 8 degrees of separation. The person who introduced me to Samuel Torres musically was Jimmy Bosch.
Oh,
Jeremy Bosch. I'm sorry, not
oh,
Jimmy.
Jerry.
Jeremy Bosch. It was Jeremy Bosch who introduced me to Samuel Torres as far as percussions. I wasn't really aware of him, and it was Jeremy who was uplifting him in some of the work that they were doing together with Marcos Lopez, et cetera, et cetera. But he's super talented, and he does some great work on your album. And you mentioned that he did some of the percussive overdubs in addition to the great congas that he's playing on the album, which I love. So even though we can't hear the tracks, I gather that the title "No Words Needed" it speaks for itself. There are no words needed. I mean, you don't have to explain it. Here it is. Listen to it, and that's it. Just listen to it, folks. You don't. No, I don't need to explain it. No need to go into a
Well,
deep dive. No words needed. Just listen and enjoy, which I took for granted after I started listening. I said, "Hey, he didn't have to tell me anything. I love it already." Okay, let's go.
so the thing is, most of the stuff when we think of salsa, there's always a singer, there's always
Mm-hmm.
words, there's always
Mm-hmm.
lyrics. In
Mm-hmm.
this case, there are no lyrics. There's not one word mentioned on the record. So basically, that came to me. It's always a little bit of a struggle trying to find titles that kind of speak from your heart about something you want to say. So in this case, I think, well, no words are needed here in this record. It's all about the music. Nobody's
Well,
singing. I'm not depending on a singer. I'm not depending on to say anything about it. So that's the reason for that title.
all right, I take that one. That's a good one. There are no words needed. You didn't need a salsa singer or any kind of singer to do this album, but again, there were no words needed to even introduce the material. What I love about this one, you have paid tribute in the past to some great musicians. One of them who's no longer with us was the great Chick Corea. And now, this time around, you've done it as well with one selection that you titled Wayne's Wonder, dedicated to Wayne Shorter. Speak about Wayne Shorter, great saxophonist, a creative genius in the world of you, Oscar Hernandez, the pianist.
Well, again, as a young musician in New York, I remember my days early on with Andy Gonzalez and Jerry Gonzalez, and and the people that we were surrounded with, especially I mentioned those two guys because they kind of were my heroes and great friends that I met when I was 18. I remember Andy coming up to me and saying he was with Barreto, and I looked up to him. He said, "Hey man, you sound good. I'm Andy Gonzalez, and why don't you come over to the house? Let's hang." And so when I went to their house, they had this. Him and Jerry lived together, right? They had this amazing record collection, not like what I'm seeing in back of you, like that. And we would be there listening to music for hours and hours, and they'd be hipping me to some amazing music. So they always had the ear to the ground as to what was happening in jazz, and they had a vast knowledge, a lot more than I did, because I
Hmm.
wasn't into jazz at that point. I was listening to the music that I grew up with, which what really wasn't jazz. I started listening to jazz early on, probably when I was 17, but it wasn't through until I had that connection with them that I realized, wow, this is an amazing music. And you know, just like when Chick Corea passed away, uh, when Wayne Shorter passed away, I started reflecting that day. Said, "Wow, this is somebody that uh, is so iconic in terms of his contribution to jazz, not only as a great saxophonist and a great artist and a great leader, but even more so as a composer.
Hmm.
The compositions that he's created throughout the course of his career have been super significant in so many different settings and so many different recordings. So it was my way of paying tribute to somebody who had a influence on me that I just wanted to say thank you. And it's I love the way it came out because it evokes to me, it evokes Wayne Shorter, his feeling, his sound. Bobby Franceschini did an amazing job playing the soprano sax on it. That really gives it the vibe. But it's my Latin jazz rendition of paying homage to Wayne, and I'm always grateful to things that have happened in my life, and I try to be really grateful and aware of people who've had an influence on me and an importance to this world in terms of their contribution. So that's the reason, for that song.
It's a beautiful rendition, and Wayne Shorter, of course, an iconic figure who will live on. His legacy is everywhere through all the musicians he has touched. And you mentioned Andy and Jerry, of course, the school of Jerry and Andy at Gildersleeve Avenue in the Bronx was the place to go. And I always thank them because it was Rennie Lopez who called them up from the hospital saying, I got this young kid from Boston who's here for a week. You got time for him? He's going to go over there. And I wound up at their
Oh
place.
wow!
And all the musicians started coming up. I was like you. I was like, look at this collection. They had cassettes. And, remember Jerry? He'd walk over,
Yeah,
listen to this. He'd put the cassette on, and you'd be like mesmerized. Where did he get this? And then the musicians would stop by, and the jam sessions, what I thought was going to be an hour, went into the midnight hour. It was one of those numbers. But the Gildersleeve Avenue, um, that was the home and the school of Jerry, and many of us owe a lot to them. That's where we got our education when it came to the broad knowledge of music. I'm sorry, you're gonna say something.
and no, and hence the
Hmm.
last record of Spanish
Yep,
Harlem
that's what I
Orchestra,
was gonna say.
Imágenes Latina, was
Yep,
dedicated to Andy, Jerry, Manny, and Barry Rogers,
there you go.
who, for me, those people were so important in my life and shaping the person I am today, not only as a band leader, but as a musician. My
Hmm.
gratitude for them to turn me on to jazz. I mean, Manny, when I listened to, I just heard I'm trying to remember the song I heard the other day that his solo. I went like, oof! It just brings me back. It just touches my heart in terms of what he meant as an instrumentalist on percussion and the way he played the timbales, which is unique to him and
Hmm.
nobody else, and his
Hmm.
feel. And the
Hmm.
same thing with Barry. I mean, Barry, to me, he's still the GOAT. And I will
Yep.
always say that,
Yeah. Hmm.
that the greatest trombone player, this is my opinion, people could differ, in the history of Latin music is a white Jewish kid from the Bronx.
Barry
And
Rogers.
he was, man, he was badass. That was,
Hmm.
to
Hmm.
this day I could sing all of his solos. So that's what an influence he was on me as a young musician. And again, it speaks to the person I am today and who I try to be. So very, very grateful.
No, I love it, and I love the fact I was going to mention that. So you beat me to the punch. Yeah, the Spanish Harlem Orchestra. Imágenes Latinas, dedicated to those four iconic, legendary, beautiful human
Ju-
beings.
Just happened to have it here
There
because
you go. Yeah, that's it.
somebody was asking me about it in terms of the credits, and I had to look at it. But yeah, I love, and that song, again, as we do with Spanish Harlem Orchestra, we don't copy the original, we make our
Hmm.
own version.
Hmm.
And as amazing as that original version was, I love our version. You know what I mean? I really do. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I put my money where my mouth is in terms of, you know, what I try to create and how passionate I am about it.
No, it's a beautiful rendition. Imágenes Latinas, Carlos Cascante is the vocalist on the Spanish Harlem Orchestra recording. And you have a song that caught me, Embrace the Moment, because not just the title, the music is beautiful. And there's another song, well, all of them, but there's another song that that really caught me because of the beauty of the song. But the Embrace the Moment caught me because the time we are living. You and I have spoken about this, how COVID impacted you as far as the perspective it gave you and how you wanted to use music as a healer, as a unifier, as a way of bringing people out of the darkness into the light. And you and I have spoken offline about, these precious moments of life, and you give it a title, you name it. You say, Embrace the Moment. Speak a little bit to this song in particular, the title and the song, so that we can sort of like capture the whole essence of what we're talking about.
Well, when you think of what those three words mean, again, I spent all the years of my youth just taking stuff for granted, not thinking about it, and thankfully, a path was put in front of me by the divine order in this world, and I followed that path. But looking back, I realized that yeah, things happened because I did embrace those moments, right? And I took the initiative to do whatever was needed in those moments to keep learning, to keep progressing, to keep growing. And I wasn't aware of it then, but I'm aware of it now. So it's important that we do, as people, embrace those moments that are important to us, embrace the people, embrace the family, embrace the experiences that we have. I could think of so many things. I could go on. I could write a book, truthfully. When I think of my first time as a young musician, 21 years old, being in Paris and looking at the city as I'm coming in at 6 o'clock in the morning, and how beautiful. And I had never seen. I'm from the South Bronx, so seeing Paris, I went like, wow, there's a whole lot more to the world than where I'm from, and that was an amazing, indelible experience for me. uh, and I look back, embracing those moments that I never forgot that. I never forgot that experience because it meant a lot in terms of my growth in an immediate instant of what was happening to me. But it probably went on to affect me later on in terms of me trying to grow and learn and seeing there are other things out there in terms of culture, in terms of people that are beautiful, right? Uh, in terms of every aspect of different cultures not to mention the architecture when you go to Paris and you realize, wow, this is yeah, this doesn't exist in the Bronx where I live on this level. So it's
But it's also more relevant, I think, even more now. And again, I started this line of questioning and conversation around COVID because we've lost so many. And I was saying before you came online, and you're aware of this, that dear friends of ours, Johnny Dandy Rodriguez goes through a stroke, and then a few days later, we have Jimmy Delgado going through a stroke. Two luminaries in our music world, folks that we see and embrace the moment when we see them with the hug and via the whole brotherhood that takes place there, those moments. But then, in a snap of a finger, both of them now find themselves, in very precarious situations. So it says a lot about embracing those moments.
no doubt. And you know what? There, by the grace of God, could be you or me.
Mm-hmm.
So you're aware of how fragile life is, and my heart and my prayers are with both of them. I mean, when I found out about Johnny, because we were about to share an experience. I had a conversation with him about a month and a half ago. We're going to Colombia in June now
Yep.
together. He was going with Deepika, and we're sharing the stage. So it kind of blew my mind, and I immediately called and tried to find out as much as I can. But he's been in my thoughts. He's been in my prayers, and now as well as Jimmy. Uh, it's sad things that we have to experience in life, and just again appreciate what we have, and appreciate those people for what they've brought to the table.
Hmm.
What they've contributed, and there's nothing we could do. Just pray for them, and hope that God graces them back to good health, and our blessings, my blessings, are with both of them.
Amen. Amen. So a couple notes here from here. Efrain Donaldson says Samuel has been in the game for a long time now. Yes, talking about Samuel Torres. He has been an experimented percussionist, Colombian, super talented. And again, I'm glad that folks are starting to really uplift him in the way that he should be uplifted, because I think he's one of the great talents that
No
we have
doubt,
in the
no doubt.
music today. Let me see. Damari says, gratefulness, the key to life. Amen to that. Ricardo here says, saludos desde Punte 507. Party Ricardo Dormel McKay. Thank you, Ricardo. Let me see. Damari here speaks about you going to Paris. She said she had the same feeling when she moved to Elizabeth, New Jersey from Boston 30 years ago. Listen to that one, okay? And then we have Lorig saying, saludos, Oscar. Love your new album. I hope you get a Grammy nomination. Speaking of which, you are a great proponent of Latin jazz and crossing over into non Latin audiences. Yes, he is. Yes, you are. And she then says, P.S. Don't know if you have heard Ray Vega rant against Downbeat's list of the best jazz albums of all time, no Latino artists. Yeah, that happens a lot.
Yeah, you know what? There was a time, I don't know how many years ago it was, when the Grammys were thinking of eliminating the Latin jazz category, and we
Mm-hmm.
were here protesting with picket signs. Bobby Sanabria was here. There was a bunch of us uh, that were going like, "Are you kidding me? How could this be? How could you eliminate a whole category of such important music and such important artists, and such an incredibly important artistic art form? I mean, what goes in the mind of somebody who thinks that way?" And
Mm-hmm.
thank God they came to their senses and they didn't eliminate it. So yeah, look, I'm tired of that mindset, Jose. And I tell people there's no ego. I'm sick and tired of taking a back seat. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not gonna put up with anything anymore. I've been doing this for 50 years, and I'm really proud of representing the best of my culture, of our Latino culture, through what I do, and putting it on the pedestal that it merits to be on, in terms of where the music should be. So I've been at major jazz festivals, where Spanish Harlem Orchestra had
Mm-hmm.
stole the show,
Yep.
opposite some incredible jazz artists.
Yep.
So don't trivialize our music. Don't trivialize our culture. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm not going to put up with it, and I know how good it is. So, and you and I know what we're talking about. So
Oh, yes.
it's sad that exists, but I mean, that's part of what all the negative stuff that we have to go through in this world, and in this country, unfortunately.
And that brings me to two tracks. One is called Rise Above, and the other one, Te Deseo Amor. And again, titles tell stories. No words are needed, but the titles do say something. And so it's the interpretation of the beholder, right? What do I read into a title? But you are the writer. And so, therefore, share with us your thoughts behind not only the music, but why in particular you would give this one in particular a title such as Rise Above.
Well, Rise Above is a way to challenge myself. I don't look beyond myself. I mean, I have to look everything from my perspective, because everybody has a different perspective. And for me, it's important that I challenge myself to continually rise above the BS that we're constantly confronted, right? We just spoke about that, what we
Hmm.
have to deal with, Ray Reagan's rant, which is, justified. So I say, you know what? No matter what, let's stay positive. Let's be clear on always trying to rise above, and keep representing, and keep doing the best of who we are, and keep learning, and keep growing. And, leave the naysayers say what they're going to say, leave the negative people do what they're going to do. Uh, I can't live in that place. So my mentality is to keep rising above, brother.
So here's how I take that, and I appreciate that you start from yourself because we all have to start from ourselves if we're going to do anything. But I take it as another example of how artists in particular model behavior that others can follow. And by that, what I'm saying is, again, I'm on this side reading the title and I hear Rise Above. And even though you're challenging yourself, I'm reading it challenging myself. You follow? Where I'm so like, I read the title, I went, Rise, yes. I need to rise above. I need to always be above this level of humanity to be a real human being. I can't be the human being that's in darkness and negativity and hate and anger and
No.
jealousy and fear. I've got to be in the side of human beings that is embracing humanity for all the greatness that we are living, that these opportunities give us to live as human beings, to experience as human beings, to share as human beings, and to able to triumph as human beings, right? But what's the greatest thing in the world to be able to do something as humans that is something that benefits all humans instead of being in the opposite? Let me do something that hurts humans. Why do I want to be there? I'd rather be in the. So when I read that title and hear the music with my headsets on, like Lori does in Florida, I you model that for me. That's the way I interpreted the title. So I appreciate that you took it from yourself. You're rising above, but I took it from you giving me medicine for me to sort of like drink and say, let me also rise above. Do you connect with what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, totally. I mean, that's not my reason for doing it. I'm
I
always
know, I
it
know,
comes from
I
my
know,
perspective,
I
but
know.
the fact that it may have that impact, or it may have that reaction from you and from people in general. Uh, I, I think that's what we're trying to all do is connect as
Mm-hmm.
people in this world. And then maybe
Mm-hmm.
somebody in China who reads English and goes like "Rise Above." Maybe somebody in another country, could be in Argentina, saying "Oh, Rise Above." You know what I mean? And they get a similar meaning from what you just got. And you know what? That's a byproduct, and thank God for those things that they may happen on that level. It's not my reason for doing it. My reason is from a personal perspective, but it does lend itself to being in the positive flow, positive mindset of trying to connect and affect people, and create something that even it touches somebody on however small little level that it may. Um, because if we live in all those other places, we're not accomplishing anything at all in our lives, man. It's
No,
just it's
no.
just a hindrance. It's just we're just hurting ourselves. So I don't see why people would not want to live in a world that's there's so much beauty and there's so much positive things to look at, live from that perspective. And that's a personal decision, and we all have to find our personal impetus in terms of what drives us, what we wanted, the life that we want to make, and what makes us happy. So
Amen. Amen. So David Cantrell says he triples the motion of the importance of this music and these musicians. Yes, sir. David, you know how much we value you and your input, but also how you treasure all this great music that is so important in our lifetime. Efrain comes here with another question, which is a good one. Do you remember Danilo Paez? He was a member of Cesar Solar for some time and even recorded a live album with Ruben. Thanks. He played
sure.
bongos or something like that. Did he play bongo?
Yeah, Danilo Paez.
Yeah, he played
His name is
bongo.
Roger. Yeah, I don't remember the circumstances of him coming into the band for that one record, but he was part of the band probably for 6 or 8 months.
Mm-hmm.
He's from Nicaragua. Really good guy. Lives in the Bay Area. I'm pretty sure he still lives in the Bay Area. But yeah, he did that one record with us, and have nothing but good memories
There you
of
go.
Danilo.
Yeah. Um, this is the other song which I love, and so Te deseo amor. I wish you love. So you have on this album Andrea Brockfield, and you have Bobby, two great flute players. But you have Andrea as your invited guest. Talk to us about Andrea, because there was a recording she did, oof, a charanga,
like 20 years ago.
yeah, in which you play a very important role. It's a heavy album. It's a great album. Um, but
Yeah,
talk to us about Andrea in your circle of this recording.
sure. It's an opportunity again for me to connect with people that have been part of my life in some shape or form. And Andrea and I go back. We're about the same age. I don't know exactly, but so we go back to when we started as young kids in New York, and how she was on the scene with the groups that she got to play with, and we connect even now. We have our phone conversations every now and then. We were doing a little music workshop thing online between me, her, and a few other musicians, trying to just do something positive. I think it was during COVID actually. So we were creating something. So yeah, she's somebody that I can relate to. She's an excellent flutist, an excellent musician. She's a really excellent artist in her own right. So when I thought of flute players, I said, yeah, and she's a woman. So for me to be able to connect with somebody who's a woman, because the power of women is amazing, and that's something we shouldn't take for granted either. Their contributions are incredible, and she's had her own challenges.
Yep,
Trying to
yep,
connect in a man's world,
yep,
because as a
yep.
as a as a female musician, man, it's challenging.
Mm-hmm.
You're dealing
Mm-hmm.
with all kind of stuff that we as men don't deal with.
Mm-hmm.
So again, I'm blessed to be able to have people like that create their magic on your music, and that she's a friend is a bonus. So it's awesome.
No, that was a
And
great.
Te Deseo Amor is an opportunity for me to write a bolero, because
Mm-hmm.
it's a bolero. However
Mm-hmm.
you listen to it,
Mm-hmm.
it's a bolero, and
Mm-hmm.
that rhythm is so part of my young child as a musician, listening to all those great boleros that we got to hear from our parents and our families and our social events, and all the great singers. So it was an opportunity for me to write a bolero, simple as
Mm-hmm.
that. And
Mm-hmm.
speaking to the sentiment of, like, I'm all about love, you know what I mean. Fear is an illusion. There's nothing but love. So the truth of the matter is, I'm putting the love out there, and in this case, te deseo amor is kind of an important sentiment to everybody, to let everybody know where I live and where my head is.
No, I love it. I love it. And you say is uh,
I got my beautiful lady who's looking at me going like,
and the fact of the matter is, I'm in love with love, and I'm in love with life. So those two things are two important parts of who make us up, right? Love and life
But
together, and then
but you know what,
when
Jose?
yeah,
I wasn't always in love
mm,
with life, and I wasn't in love with love. I think it dawned, because we as people, you grow up with a lot of insecurities,
mm-hmm,
and you grow up with a lot of fears, and grow up with a lot of anger.
mm,
And I'm
mm,
one. I realized that anger could, I could follow that road, man, till to infinity.
mm-hmm,
So I
mm-hmm,
had to realize things about myself, and I'm still realizing, to become a better person every day, that things trigger you to create anger, and you really have to be aware of it and get a hold of yourself and
mm-hmm,
realize that it is about love.
mm-hmm.
So I'm still learning it. I'm still growing it. I'm still growing, and the deseo amor is an example of that sentiment, but also wanting to write a bolero. Nothing more than that, really.
Well, it worked. It worked. And I love the fact that you have Andrea, but I have to give some kudos to Bobby. Bobby does a great job in this album. Bobby does an exceptional job, and you bring Alex into it with the flugelhorn, but Bobby, I think, really gives it a sound that I love. That makes the album really like, boom,
Well, Bobby is one of the premier saxophone players in the world. When I say that, he has his own voice. Uh, he has his own amazing sound, his own amazing concept. He's been talented, since the day I met him. I went like, wow, he can really blow on that instrument, and from what I understand, I didn't know Bobby when we were that young, But I hear people who went to music and art, and they said, man, he was playing like Coltrane when he was 15,
Mm-hmm.
at Music and Art in New York City. And somebody mentioned that. I said, yeah, it doesn't surprise me. So for me, and people don't know, it's a little tiny bonus, que él es boricua.
Mm-hmm.
Él es puertorriqueño,
Mm-hmm.
born
Mm-hmm.
and raised in New York City, but his parents are from Puerto Rico, I think from Mayagüez. Uh, so uh, you have somebody who can play on a jazz level like he can. Man, I'm so proud to have him on this record,
Mm-hmm.
and he's just brings his own beautiful magic again to my music because these are all my compositions,
Yep,
Jose.
yep,
I
yep. I
wrote
know
them all,
all
and
the arrangements, all the songs composed by you. It's all you. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so when I see people, you know what? Listen to the solo that he took on that song. That
Mm-hmm.
they say, "Amo, just listen to
Mm-hmm.
that solo. If you do nothing else, listen to his solo. It's beautiful." I mean, and the same thing. There was a solo that John Benitez took. That right, we went to listen to it in the studio when we recorded it. We go in, when you go into let's go into the booth and listen to it. And I said, John, you know what? That solo is worth the price of the record already.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
thank you, brother. I mean, it really was. I feel that strongly about it. And people who come with their heart and their talent and they put that magic on your music. Oh, I'm blessed.
No, we're all blessed because we get to enjoy it. So, a couple of comments we have here. Laura reminds us that the album was Back with Sweet Passion. Yes, that's an excellent album. Excellent album. Andrea Blackfield. Love
Totally.
that album.
And I have forgotten about it because
Yeah.
now people ask me about stuff and I go like, shit, I don't remember. Somebody asked me about something that I did. I said, I don't remember that at all. So, but I
That's
heard
one of them.
recently something from that album, and I went like, "Wow,
It's
I
good
sound
stuff.
pretty good. I sound
Yeah.
pretty good."
No, very good, very good. And of course, when I met her, she was playing with Charanga 76. That's when I first met her in New York. I remember I have an interview with her on cassette from back in the day. I forget which was the club that we were at, Lower East Side Barney's or something. I forget
Yeah,
what the name of the
and,
club was.
and you know what?
Yeah.
These are people, when you think about it, the fabric of New York City, who are not from our culture, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because Andrew's Jewish,
Mm-hmm.
but she totally embraced the culture and learned it. She really learned it. She was a fan of Aragon, Alcaño, Richard Egues, and speaks Spanish, no
Mm-hmm.
less.
Mm-hmm.
So she went and lived in Venezuela. So this is people who come and embrace our culture and
Mm-hmm.
embrace the music. And the reason they play it so well is because they've studied it and they've absorbed it and they have a really clear, true reference point to be able to play our music. So same thing with Barry Rogers.
Yep.
And there's a bunch of other people like that,
Yeah.
Larry Harlow,
Yeah.
Andy Harlow, a bunch of other people like that we know.
Louis
Yeah,
Kahn, who
no
we
doubt.
God bless him. Yeah, all these great. So I've got you for 5 minutes because I know the time is tight. But let's dip in a little bit our toes into Spanish Harlem Orchestra, next album in which you've already recorded, and of course you've told us that you're dedicating to Ray Barretto. What can you tease us about this upcoming album by Spanish Harlem Orchestra?
Uh, can I play something from my phone?
Of course. Yeah. Why? Yes. Yes. By all means.
I don't know if I could do this. Can I do this while we're online? I
I
mean,
guess so. Like, let's try it.
tell me if you hear it. All right.
All right, put it on. Let's see what we hear. Put it
All right.
next to your yeah.
Let me see what song I'm going to pick here. Uh, so, as you know, we have Gilberto Santa Rosa as a guest.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let me play a little bit. This is not that song. This is another song. Did you hear it?
Yep, you can hear it.
Oye bien lo que te digo, rumbero, para que bailen y que gocen el mundo entero. Sentimiento y alegría les dedico en mi cantar. Okay, that's it. That's the tease. I'll play. I'll play a little bit of. I'll play a little bit of this one, and tell me if you recognize. Oh, you know what? Let me play this song.
Okay.
So this is a song that I decided to record by Ruben Blades. That
Mm.
when I heard it, and I'm aware of it, but I heard it, I said, man, I want to do that song with Spanish Harlem Orchestra. Listen to it, okay?
Las calles de nuestros barrios nunca toman prisioneros, quiebran al que no resiste, sea local o sea extranjero. Ay, la paciencia no existe con los que son majaderos. Cada víctima es culpable si cayó por traicionero.
I love it. That's Jeremy. Jeremy
So
doing it.
I'm not gonna play anymore because
No, no,
it's not
no.
gonna be out for another 4 months. It has Gilberto Santa Rosa as a guest, and people are gonna say, and again, there's no, you know me, Jose. There's no ego. It's just some incredible love and passion that I have of the legacy of this music that I've been blessed to be a part of. That I live and breathe this music. I
Hmm.
live and breathe it. I live and breathe it. And when people hear this record, they're gonna go, "Oh my God, they did it again!" These I don't know how they do it, but they did it again. So this record is as good as any other record. I'm not gonna say it's better because I feel that committed to all the other stuff we've done, but we did it again. I think we have another great record. So
I'm
I'm
looking
really
forward to it.
proud, really
I'm looking
proud of
forward
what
to it.
we accomplished here. We're just putting the final touches on the final mix, uh, and I'm getting the mixes and to approve the mixes, and I'm going, man, it sounds amazing. So what can I say? Jose,
No,
Spanish
I'm
Harlem Orchestra is uh, Alma Libre, No Words Needed is super, and I love it. But Spanish Harlem Orchestra is my baby. You know what I mean?
yeah,
It's
yeah.
the music that speaks to me as a 15-year-old trying to learn, 14-year-old trying to learn how to, copy Eddie Palmieri and all the people that I was listening to when I was 15 and 16 and trying to emulate. So Spanish Harlem Orchestra encompasses my whole career in terms of everything I learned from all these amazing people and how beautiful the music is and how important it is for me to put it on the pedestal of, an incredible amount of integrity and expertise and soul and passion and love with regard to Latin music. So I'm clear on my mission, brother, and I thank God every day for it.
Well, amen. And you know how much we love you and support you. And speaking about support, how can we be supportive of this new effort? Is there a way that I, the listener, I, the aficionado, I, the person who supports great music, can lean in?
You,
The previous.
you, you, you support, you.
How
So
how
let
can
me
we,
wait,
and
folks. Let me
by
let
that
me.
what I'm saying is because the Imágenes Latinas we were able to be part of the production, etc. Is there another opportunity for me to do and others to
Yeah,
lean in and financially support the effort of what you're trying to do?
yes. So, well, first of all, look, and maybe this is good that you're asking me this question because this gives me a platform to speak to the audience that's listening. People forget that we're now with iTunes and with Spotify and with all the platforms that are out there, used to getting stuff for free. But even Alma Libre, it cost me a lot of money. I pay the
Hmm.
musicians. I try to pay them well. I pay for the best studios. I pay the engineers. I pay for the manufacturing of the record. I pay for the artwork. So it costs money, and all we're asking for is for people to at least just download it for $10. You just download it,
Hmm.
and you're supporting, like you said. And you know what? I was joking saying about that to you because as soon as the record came out, you call me immediately, say, "Hey, brother, I'm buying two records and about whatever it is you did," and I sent you yours immediately because you're the first person to say, "I'm here," and you understand it. So, as far as the next Spanish Harlem Orchestra record, which is not easy because I'm putting all my money where my mouth is. It's all my
Hmm.
money. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, and we don't make a lot of money from these records.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like years ago where,
Mm-hmm.
you had record companies and you had people paying you for budgets. It doesn't exist on that level anymore. So the money that I make from all the live gigs, I invested back in what I believe in and what I love. So yes, there's going to be a crowdfunding platform on this record, just like there was on Imanes Latina.
Great. Great.
And for those people who want to choose on the level that they want to choose, whether it be the download, whether it be the physical CD, or whether to get your name on the CD as somebody who's participated in the crowdfunding, or there's other perks with bigger perks, whatever suits your taste. There'll be opportunities, and we need that. We need for
Yeah.
people to support the music. I'll say it point blank. It doesn't happen by magic on my end. It takes a lot of effort, takes a lot of money, and it takes a lot of commitment. So it'd be nice to have people, especially our people, nuestra gente. We get support outside of our own people sometimes, which, man, I just thank God. I go, wow, God bless the people who understand uh, uh, have the intelligence and discern, to find good music beyond the commercial BS that they're confronted with on a daily, level every day out there. They go out and seek good music. And Spanish Harlem Orchestra has a fan base on that level that's
Yep.
not necessarily Latino.
Yeah.
Thank God that see it from, people who are creating music from a real place. It's a real story because I lived and breathed this music. Yesterday I went to see here in LA, Tito Puente Jr. was performing, and you know, I went to see him, and thank God I was listening. He plays all the songs of his dad,
Mm-hmm.
Complicación,
Mm-hmm.
Juventud,
Mm-hmm.
Mambo Gozón. And just for me to listen to those songs, I told Tito at the end, I said, man, you can't go wrong listening to those songs, man. I'm in
Mm-hmm.
heaven when I hear those songs. So,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and that's why I'm there supporting. And thank God, he's still around and bringing his father's music and his brother's legacy and history to life. So, anyway, it's all about we're all in this together,
Well,
and before we go, because I
yeah.
know,
No.
I want to thank you personally, brother, because you are certainly a champion of our community, and anybody who knows anything about you knows that. And I know you for over 30 years, and all I've seen is like kick ass. So
Thank you, brother. Well, it comes from the heart, it comes from the love, it comes from respect, and it comes from gratitude because as I tell you all the time, and I tell all the musicians when I see them in person, I'll bring them close and say, listen, we're blessed to have you as one of our living angels because the power of you creating music that comes from your heart comes to us and just overcomes all of us in ways that I don't know if we can ever find ways to describe the impact that art and music in particular has on people's lives. You
no
have the
doubt.
power to create movements, you have the power to give us healing when we're ill, you give us light when there's darkness, you inspire us when we're looking for inspiration. We have you in the background and bingo, the light goes on. You're the soundtrack to our lives because, like you were talking about Tito Puente Jr., there are songs that bring back memories and we remember where we were, who we were with, and what was happening at that particular moment because they're the soundtrack of our life. And so your living angels are very important to us. And so we applaud you, we celebrate you, we respect you, we love you, and we support you in every way we can as part of the ecosystem. And our dear friend David Cantrell says, as part of what you're offering, have a perk with a poster. And so there we are.
We're
Let's make sure
trying,
we
and
put a
people
poster in
ask
that.
people ask me, they come up with these ideas, and I go, yeah, it's great to throw out the ideas, but people forget they cost money. That's what I have to say. People want T-shirts, people want vinyl. I said, vinyl. Who's gonna pay for the vinyl? This
Yeah.
it's expensive. It's an
Yeah.
expensive process. But
Yeah.
Jose, again,
Thank you.
I can't thank you enough. Give Divina a big hug for me, and uh, thank you for all that you do, and for all the people who support this music and that are listening. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Uh, un tremendo placer y oportunidad para mí decirle gracias a ustedes y agradecerles el apoyo que nos brindan siempre de parte de este servidor Oscar Hernández, and look forward to the next Spanish Harlem Orchestra record. And as far as No Words Needed, And Alma Libre, Oscar Hernandez, it's my name and music.com. You can go there and purchase the download. Oscar Hernandez music.com. Simply the download for $10.
You
If
got
you want. If you want to purchase the record, you can, and it'll be mailed to you the next day. If you want to purchase a signed copy, that'll be mailed to you the next day. Those things are there, but we couldn't do it without you. So lots of love, bro, and we'll be talking.
You got it, my brother. Have a good one. Peace.
You got it. Abrazo.
H. Blessings. Gracias. Bueno, mediante ahí conversamos con nuestro amigo Oscar Hernández. Ahora nos toca hablar con Claudio Ragazzi, que ha sido tan amable de estar en el trasfondo, esperando su turno aquí para conversar con nosotros. El nombre mío es José Mazón. Nos queda otra hora de conversación en este conversatorio en el cual he invitado a Oscar Hernández. Lamentablemente tenemos problemas técnicos con la música. No sé si todavía esa es la situación, pero si es así, de cualquier manera vamos a intentar escuchar un poco de música, pero sí vamos a tener la conversación con Claudio Ragazzi, que ya se une a nosotros. And David Cancho says, I will pay for it. David offline, you can speak to Oscar with regards to that. So, our second guest, el segundo invitado para el día de hoy, como le he mencionado a ustedes, han sido dos invitados para esta tarde. El segundo es nada más y nada menos que nuestro gran amigo Claudio Ragazzi, reconocido guitarrista, compositor, arreglista, educador, ¿qué más puedo decir de él? Agente cultural, ha hecho tantas cosas aquí en la ciudad de Boston, oriundo de Argentina, pero sin embargo uno de los mejores músicos que ustedes van a conocer en lo que es la música contemporánea, y tenemos la buena dicha de tenerlo a él aquí con nosotros. Y a la misma vez vamos a ser el maestro de ceremonia para su presentación este próximo jueves. Aquí le traigo a ustedes desde su estudio en su hogar. Miren todas las guitarras, el estudio de grabación. Claudio Ragazzi, you're on mute. Take off the mute so we can hear you. Porque no, ahora sí,
Ahora
señor.
se me oye.
Bienvenido, mi hermano. ¿Cómo estás?
¿Cómo estás, querido? ¿Cómo anda todo? Qué bueno.
Bien, qué alegría verte. Lamento, mira, hemos tenido algún problema técnico el día de hoy, que la música suena cortada, o sea, entra y sale, baja, sube, no sé de qué se trata. La voz en la conversación ha sido formidable, excepcional.
No te preocupes.
Pero la música es lo que yo quería compartir con el pueblo, pero nada más tenerte a ti en persona, por fin, tantos meses que hemos hablado. Sí, te voy a tener programa, sí voy a estar, sí te vamos a tener programa, sí voy a estar, pero por fin estamos aquí y te quiero dar las gracias por aceptar la invitación y estar con nosotros esta tarde.
Mira,
así que
gracias,
bienvenido, Claudio.
Tuve la suerte de estar un ratito antes y escucharlos a Oscar también. Increíble, ¿viste? Increíble el trabajo que estás haciendo de documentación y la mente abierta. Eso es lo principal, ¿viste? Yo lo que siempre noté es que tú siempre tienes una mente abierta con respecto a los diferentes estilos, diferentes tipos de músicas. Hace millones de años que nos conocemos, demasiado tiempo. Tú estás igual, yo no, a mí me salió el pelo blanco y todo. Tú estás cada vez mejor, te digo la verdad. Antes de una época estaba un poquito gordito, pero ahora estaba bien, ¿viste?
Divina quien me cuida, divina me cuida.
Increíble,
Soy un hombre
divina,
bendecido, divina quien me cuida.
También ha casado a tantos amigos nuestros y todo. Y hasta cosas que no sé si tú te acuerdas, presentaciones donde nosotros tocamos con Mercedes Sosa,
Sí,
en el
señor.
Ndez Auditorio que tú presentaste, o sea,
Sí.
una cantidad de músicas, salsa, Latin jazz, Giovanni, en el Centro Cultural, en tantos sitios, así que tenemos poco tiempo para tantas historias que tenemos para compartir, querido. ¿Cómo estás primero?
Yo muy bien, gracias al Señor. Divina se encuentra arriba, te manda saludos. Ella está entusiasmada con el hecho que estamos conversando. Tú sabes que ella te quiere mucho, te admira también. Y nada, complacido, entusiasmado con la propuesta nueva tuya que estás compartiendo, Tributes en Tangos, con tu cuarteto, con 3 músicos que son increíbles. Y también entusiasmado porque tengo la buena dicha de que este jueves seré el maestro de ceremonias para tu presentación en el Long Live Roxbury el jueves, comenzando a las 6, el Jazz Night.
Yeah.
que se ha convertido en el lugar donde todos tienen que ir los jueves para escuchar buena música y un buen ambiente. Y este jueves obviamente será increíble porque viene con el cuarteto tuyo. Pero vamos a hablar un poco antes de entrar, porque yo te conozco, pero hay gente que quizás no te conocen. We're talking with our dear friend Claudio Ragazzi. We go back many years, decades, similar to Oscar Hernandez. Claudio and I have known each other, I think, since he was at Berkeley, and then when he worked at Artes y Culturas and Inquilinos Boricuas en Acción,
Right.
during a period of time when Inquilinos Boricuas en Acción, Arte y Cultura were doing some magnificent things.
Amazing.
If we went through the list of all those great artists, muchachos, es una historia. Bueno, hablando de historia,
Yeah.
I've been commissioned to write the history of Afro-Latin music in Boston, of which you are part of, because I have to sit and interview you and get all those posters and flyers and programs and get all that history, porque tanta historia y tanta música y tantos eventos que se dieron durante esa época cuando estabas tú, Wilma Colón, Eileen Collins, cuando estaba Efraín, ¿qué
Alex
más?
Alvear,
Alex Alvear, Alan
Adam,
West, Durán.
Ndez.
O sea, fue
Increíble.
un momento de oro en nuestras comunidades cuando viene la música y el arte. Pero para que la gente sepa un poco de quién tú eres, ¿cómo es que Claudio Ragazzi, tú, llegas a esta ciudad de Boston y dile a la gente dónde tú eres y cómo creciste?
Mira, ¿lo hacemos en español o en inglés o cómo te conviene?
Lo que tú te sientas cómodo. Start speaking Spanish and wind up in English. Do
Yeah,
it the way you like to do.
I don't want to leave people out, you know,
Okay.
story, but lo hacemos en Spanglish como quieran.
Claro, claro, claro.
Well, I was always interested in coming to Berkeley College. You know, I was a kid in Argentina, 11, 12 years old, and I was already, you know, playing. And I got the Berkeley books for guitar and for composition and the whole thing. And my dream was to come to Boston, so I was able to in. Long time ago. I started Berkeley in 1981, right? I was there from 81 to 84, and studied with some amazing people. You know, I came mainly to study jazz music. You know, I was in the jazz composition department. You know, with people like Herb Pomeroy and John Laporta, Ken Pulig. I mean, amazing group of teachers and writing for big band and all that stuff. As I'm arriving to Boston, even before I think around the same time when I started applying to go to Berkeley, I met this woman Susan Phillips, and she was friends with Gil Raldiris. You know, Gil Raldiris was an iconic figure, you know, and they were looking for someone that played a guitar, you know, electric guitar, a Latin American, you know, nylon string guitar, as well as a cuatro, right? And I never heard the cuatro. I heard the Venezuelan cuatro, right? So this was to play in a band with Josie La Torre. Josie La Torre had just started her solo career from Haciendo Punto en Otro Son. Irving Garcia, sorry,
Irving Garcia
was living here as well, and we put a band together. It was a crazy band, and you know, it was like 10 musicians or something. We did a lot of concerts back then with Josie playing the repertoire of Haciendo Punto and some new songs. Amazing group. And then I learned how to play the cuatro. You know, I fell in love with the cuatro puertorriqueño, you know, and I got a cuatro myself. I got a cuatro here. Don't make me play because the sound is not good. This, but I got where is that cuatro from Morovi or something like that? You know, I went up the mountain, you know, to get my cuatro, and it was an amazing experience. So I am so thankful for the Puerto Rican community, you know, because they were truly, I mean, the Americans too, but the Puerto Rican community was the one who opened doors to me, like big time, you know. So immediately after that, we started with Gil. We started doing the Cantores de Areitos, a group of kids. They are probably older than we are now, you know. So we started this group and we played the schools. There was a lot of I have a picture with you with Dukakis,
At the
Jose,
center.
Jorge
Jorge
Hernandez,
Hernandez. Yep. May he rest in
Gil, and
peace,
us. We were opening the first first Latino cultural center in the South End here. You know, Dukakis was there. One of the Kennedys was there. I don't know if it was Joe. I don't remember which. They look all alike. They look very. They look sort of like that. One of the Kennedys was there. He was running for the governor, for mayor, or something.
Congress.
Yeah,
no, I know who it was. Yeah. Teddy Kennedy. It was Teddy Kennedy. It was Teddy Kennedy.
Yeah, and the work we were doing with combining culture and politics and community was amazing. Yeah, because I think at least what I felt at that point was that there's everybody was speaking the truth. You know what I mean? There was no hidden agendas, nothing. Everybody was trying to make Mel King. Used to come to the center like, man, he should have been president of this country. I mean, brilliant guy and great taste of music. Amazing. Yeah. So that's how I ended up in Boston. The interesting thing as well is that as a young kid in Argentina, I was trying also to do some community work, using music not using music. Music is a community, I can stay here, play in my basement, all my life, but it's a community a type of thing. So in Argentina, the issue was that then the military government came in, and then anything that was community related, music related, people were getting in jail. I'm talking about the late 70s, mid 70s. You know what I mean? It was dirty. It was not a good time. So in a way for me to get involved with the Puerto Rican and the Latino community in general was a way of continuing my work as a kid, in Argentina. So it was connected with that. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Let's pause there a minute, because when I had Alex Alvear, nuestro gran amigo Alex Alvear,
Total.
y mencionamos, cuando él estuvo recientemente aquí de visita, que fue como un reencuentro de tantas amistades cuando llegó Alex aquí para su presentación, él habló sobre su experiencia en Ecuador con la política.
Exacto.
Y él como músico, usando la música ahí en mate, nuestro amigo, sepa que Claudio es argentino. You can see he's Argentinian. He's having his mate tea.
Just started with it, yo.
Having his mate tea. But Alex spoke about being in Ecuador during that period of time, because remember, this is Violeta Parra, this is Mercedes, you mentioned, this is Victor Jara, you're talking about La Nueva Canción, La Nueva Trova, you're talking about music as a powerful tool of organizing and mobilizing people and speaking truth to power against oppression, against authoritarianism, against, the human rights injustice that was taking place during that period of time, dictatorships, etc. When all these things were happening in Central and South America, Chile, Argentina, El Salvador, we can go to Nicaragua, we can go through all of those countries which were experiencing. Panama, all these places, and music was the one speaking truth to power. And you come to this country and you find the freedom, ¿no? La libertad, la posibilidad de hacer ese tipo de encuentro entre comunidad, un movimiento social, cultural, político que realza una comunidad, it uplifts a community, it creates unity, and then it creates a movement that creates a community called Villa Victoria. And then the arts component is an important part of that. And the new generation being, cantores de areito, etcétera, etcétera. Y para ese tiempo, obviamente, era la comunidad puertorriqueña que estaba al frente de este tipo de esfuerzo.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Y ahora nos encontramos, Claudio, tú y yo, en esta época de nuestra vida, y es como un círculo, ¿no? Lo que habíamos visto en nuestros hogares, en nuestra tierra natal, en el terruño de nuestra juventud, ahora lo estamos viendo aquí, en esta nación, donde de pronto el arte, la cultura, todo lo que tiene que ver con renovar el espíritu, lo están tratando de apagar. Si no este tipo de música no se puede tocar, si no este tipo de libro no se puede escribir, si no este tipo de poema no se puede declamar, si no este tipo de película no se puede ver, etcétera, etcétera. Tú como músico que viviste eso en Argentina y ahora estás viviendo esto, lo estás viendo tú, tu opinión, tu comentario sobre este fenómeno.
Mira, primero o sea, mi interés no fue nunca realmente entrar por el lado de la política, ¿no? ¿Te das cuenta? Siempre fue... Y venimos de una generación en donde creíamos que podíamos cambiar el mundo con la música. Y lo cambiamos por un tiempito. Digamos, el trabajo que se hizo en Boston de traerlo acá Chao, Mario Bauzá, hacer las MIT, New England Conservatory, Berkeley, Harvard, giving Mario Bauzá a doctorate and things like that. Esos eran cosas que cambiaron la historia, ¿te das cuenta? Lo que pasa también aquí es que la gente lamentablemente no sabe lo que tiene hasta que lo pierde muchas veces, ¿no? Y yo, por ejemplo, bueno, ahora en un plano personal, nada que ver, pero bueno, estaban hablando con Oscar del poder de la música. Mi padre falleció la semana pasada, ¿no? Hace unos días, hace 3 días. Por suerte lo pude ver, pude tocar para él. Él estaba totalmente en su mundo, en Alzheimer, con Alzheimer's y demencia y todo. Cuando empecé a tocar, se le prendieron los ojos.
Wow.
O sea, el poder de la música es un poder muy fuerte. Y es un poder social, porque es una cosa que si no está el que escucha, no sirve de nada, no es nada. Entonces lo que pasa es lo que digo, que a veces la gente no entiende lo que tiene hasta que lo pierde, ¿no? Y aquí ha habido siempre una libertad de expresión, ¿no? Incluso tu amigo Rubén Blades, no nuestro amigo, que la suerte de conocerlo, dice, America, love it, America fix it, you know? In other words, like the good thing about this country is that you can actually make it better, and that's why it's always better, you know? Because nobody's going to, well, that's supposedly nobody's going to kill you for saying something wrong, but that's been proven to be wrong too. You know, we don't want to get into that, right? But what I'm saying is that people don't know what they have until they because even just 2-3 days ago, I'm thinking about all the things I never asked my father, you know. Or even in Argentina, after the military government, you know, and this is only my opinion, I'm not a politician, but after those times, 60s and 70s, when this military junta happened, the country has never been able to get back on their feet the way it was before, you know? I remember as a young child, for no reason, I was 6 years old, crying when the military took over a Democratic president Ilya was the name of the Ilya was the president, and I didn't understand anything. But Ilya was someone that you could say, oh, okay, he's an old guy. I believe him. I can trust him. But it's been very hard since then. So I think we have to be careful. We have to really protect what we have, and,
Mm-hmm.
and that's something that we all have to do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Including everything else that's going on with. I'm not against computers or even not against artificial intelligence. I use it to a certain degree, as much as I is good for me. But we gotta there's nothing like listen to an acoustic guitar or
Right.
cello or a real piano and just go to a place and it's good for us people that like music, as well as it's great for a doctor or someone that is in doing numbers all day. Just go to a concert and despejate la mente.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I really appreciate when you talk about the angels and all that, because we musicians, we take it for granted. You know what I mean? We do it all the time. We take it for granted, and so sometimes we complain. I don't want to go to this gig. Blah blah blah. It's too late. Whatever. But a we take it for granted. But it's really, I mean, the power of music. Anyone that has a father or mother that is having issues, with dementia. I mean, there's so much of that going on, Alzheimer's. Just play a few notes, you know, play a few notes, sing a few songs, and you will see them come alive again. They will be back to what they were before this horrible, disease came in. You know what I mean?
No, I know exactly what you mean. Well, music therapy, of which Berkeley offers a degree in music therapy, is proven more and more to be such an antidote to so many different profound illnesses, including in the area of autism, where they're using music as one of the ways in which they're dealing with autism. So it is very powerful. And the fact that you're so honest about that, at times artists take for granted, I don't need to do what I need to do today because someone take the time off, or I don't want to do it, etc. Without realizing how, even if it's one person who that moment you touch, that one person you touch, you have changed that person's life that particular moment in time. They're going to always be, I used to be a sports agent.
Oh yeah, I
And
remember that. Yeah.
remember that when I used to be a
Oh
sports
yeah,
agent? ¿Te recuerdas eso? I used to be a sports agent.
I
And I
remember
used,
that.
and,
You had
and
some good people, good clients,
yeah,
¿no?
I had good baseball players. Yeah, remember that? I had good
Good.
baseball players.
¿Cómo se llamaba el dominicano que
Tenía un sinnúmero, pero lo que te quiero decir, la historia que te quiero decir, the story I want to tell
I'm
all of
sorry,
you
yeah,
is
sorry.
that that my baseball players, Major League Baseball players, used to complain, some of them, about having to sign autographs. That it was for them was they couldn't go anywhere. Everybody wanted, they couldn't eat. They wanted not. And I would say to them, listen, if you give 2 minutes to some kid and you sign an autograph, that kid is going to run home and bless you and pray for you every single time you come up to bat, when you pitch, when you throw, whatever you're doing on the field. They're going to be saying, I hope he gets a hit. I hope he gets a home run. I hope he strikes him out. They're going to be praying for you. But if you don't give him the autograph, te van a estar maldiciendo. Ah, that guy's a bum. Oh, strike him. I said, which would you rather have? Somebody praying and blessing you, or somebody maldiciéndote? And the players would go, ooh, wait a minute. I understand. I said, so just give them those 2 minutes. Give them the 2 minutes, give them the autograph, and you're going to make their day. And so I realized the same way that on my side, when I hear all this music back here, 5,000 albums, or I hear my CDs, or I hear you or anybody live
Yeah.
at that moment in time, I realize at that minute, that second, I'm hearing something that only you are able to create. Claudio Ragazzi.
Mhm.
That's Claudio Ragazzi's genius and creativity, who I believe you're getting it from a spirit above that gave you that ese don, esa bendición when you were born. When you were born, how many brothers and sisters do you have?
No, yeah, three. I had an older brother that passed away, and then a sister and a brother. And my older brother was into music. Yeah, but
Okay,
yeah,
so
yeah,
you have so in your family there are some DNA that people that
a little bit.
let's sprinkle a little bit this creative
Yeah,
genius in the Ragazzi
yeah,
family for them to do music as their tool, right?
yeah.
There may be bankers that are Ragazzi, there may be doctors and lawyers that are Ragazzi, but at least in this little group, we're going to give them this little DNA that, boom, the creative bulb will come out and you will create this great music that would impact people. And in your case, this particular album, of which you're going to showcase on Thursday, is an interesting one because, Claudio, in your work, this one you've taken time to say, I'm not only going to put an album together, it's going to be a storyline. Va a ser un cuento, va a ser una, there's a narrative behind it because it's tributes and tangos of
Mhm.
which you purposely go through a sequence of songs that you have composed that tell a story when you hear it. It's like you're serving me a meal. You're saying, here's the appetizer.
Mhm.
And now let me give you a little bit more in the appetizer. You have a choice of several appetizers in the menu. I'm going to read some. Unfortunately, we can't hear them right now because I don't know how it's going to sound. But, you know, you start off with, let me go down here. There's Iberia,
Yeah,
part one,
yeah,
right? That's
yeah,
the way you start off. So
yeah,
talk about this concept behind tributes and tangos because it's tributes
yeah,
and tangos.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hablemos sobre esa propuesta.
Yeah, the tributes is not a chronological. It's not like I start from Spain or Iberia or anything like that. But it is a storyline, and one of the concepts here is really to go back. On one hand, go back to those tangos and those milongas, that that are also connected to our folklore in Argentina, because in Argentina happens something similar than would happen in the United States, when the days where you had the country music was seen as a secondary music, and then the jazz and the city music was more important, type of thing. In Argentina, we have the same thing between tango and folklore. So those milongas and those sambas, or Argentinian sambas, are closely related to the folklore, and also they serve as almost like a basic ground for the milongas and tangos, which is gonna, right. And that's another interesting part, because early on, all those musics were a mixture, like in any culture, it's a mixture of the Afro-Argentinians with the Europeans, with the Polish, with this, the Italians, and everybody. So eh, that music becomes the tango that we knew in the 40s and 50s, and all that. That is also, in my particular case, comes more from my father and my mother. They were, listening to this music as I was as a kid, and all that. But then I was fortunate as a young musician to play with some masters in the new tango movement, right? I never played with Astro Piazzolla. I met him, but I've been able, as a young kid, I was playing with this guy Rodolfo Mederos, which I should check him out. Bandoneon player. He was mixing the tango with rock and progressive rock and stuff like that. And as a kid, I was crazy for that stuff. When I came to the United States, I started playing with Pablo Ziegler. Pablo Ziegler is pianist, amazing pianist. We still play together, um, for Astor Piazzolla for many, many years. And with Pablo, we created a project. I mean, I was part of this concept that was called Tango Meets Jazz, right? In that concept, we were able to invite Jerry Burton, Bramford Marsalis, Randy Brecker, all the, Kenny Garrett, many of the top jazz players. So the tributes part, in many ways, is more personal. It goes to the tributes of people, well-known people like Chick Corea, that was a big influence in my life. Someone that was actually mixing Spanish, Latin jazz, and jazz, and played with everybody, open-minded type of person. Other people that might not be as well known here, Eduardo Falú, a guitar player, amazing guitar player from Argentina that plays used to play folklore, and bringing the guitar also to the front center, because in the early days of tango, Gardel and all those famous singers, they were singing with three guitars. It was like a bolero, like the bolero singers. They will have three guitars before they could afford uh, orchestras and big productions, right? So the guitar was a huge part of tango. So that's why the tributes part and the tangos part is tangos, but it's also an open-minded type of tango. It includes also other styles from Argentina, right? As I said before, for many years I was involved with the Puerto Rican community. I was playing cuatro, I was playing Latin jazz and Brazilian jazz and all that. And it got to a point in my life where I said, you know what? Wait a minute. I've been lucky to grow up in this particular tradition, in this particular culture too. So let me show some of my stuff. From Argentina. As well. So that's how that project came about. The project also came about thanks to a a grant from the Boston Foundation, right? And it was the timing was in a way perfect because I got this grant just before COVID hit, so I was able to have some money to write the music for this thing, and then I was able to, once everybody got vaccinated and everything, we were able to get together here, start rehearsing. We went to the studio. The project features some amazing, really amazing player. This Cuban, she's a powerhouse. You probably know her.
Oh, of course we do. Sahili.
Saili
Hmm.
Gonzalez Zamora. I mean, I'm happy to have her on Thursday. She's gonna be one of these people that takes off, and we'll never see her. But
It's so like, Claudio, do you remember the first time you saw Esperanza Spalding perform when she was at Berkeley? You remember the first time you saw her? Because I remember the first time I saw her. The moment I saw her, I said,
oh man,
this person is going to blow up big. You saw it from the moment you saw her. You said, she has it. She's like, and sure enough,
I'm telling you, we have been so lucky. Like, I used to do a gig at a restaurant where we play 3 nights a week, guitar and piano duos with Danilo Perez. When Danilo was a chamaquito, you know what I mean?
18 years old, 19 years old when he first came to Berkeley,
It's,
right?
it's like, man. So we've been so lucky in the sense of seeing so much talent,
Hmm.
uh, and to be able to support them and to say, I
Hmm.
remember Danilo when they says, and I'm not, I got this audition in New York, but I don't want, I'm gonna miss your gig at the restaurant. I said, man, what are you talking about? I get an accordion player. I don't care.
Yeah, who's the audition with? Dizzy Gillespie. What?
Yeah, he was doing the John. It was John Hendricks.
Yeah, John Henry.
So it's like John Hendricks. So it was like, man, yeah, go. What are you talking about? Let them fly. Let everybody fly.
It's the same thing with Sahili. The first time I saw Sahili, I said, how do what? And she's still here and she's teaching at Berkeley, and of course she's doing her own thing. But she's another one that you already know. We've got her. Let's embrace her. I'm hoping even when you know, she'll still use this as her home base. Which is the important thing, right? That's the
We're
important
lucky
thing.
to
Yeah,
have,
yeah, yeah,
Boston in that sense. We're lucky to have Danilo who
yeah,
still is
yeah,
around here. When you
yeah,
catch him, he's around here,
yeah.
and so many other people. So we are lucky to have those people. Boston, in that sense, I think has been a good community
Hmm.
for the arts. With but we can do more. We can
Of
always.
course, of course.
But so Saili will be there. Another person who's in the record, and it was crucial for him to be in the record, is Dan Greenspan. Dan
Of
is a
course, our dear Grant. Yes,
yeah.
Dan.
On this gig, we're gonna go a little more electric.
Okay.
Gerson Lasso is playing a
Hmm.
bass, electric bass, and we're gonna go a little more electric because it is a good, it's a bar too. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah. It's a brewery. Yeah.
It's a brewery.
Yeah.
It's a word that is hard for me to pronounce. I get my daughter to brewery, how you say
Brewery.
brewery, But Gerson is going to be playing with us. But Dan was very crucial for this project, for the record.
Hmm.
First of all, for his sound and artistry, but also for many many years we played with Mili Bermejo.
Yeah. May she rest in peace. Yes. Uh-huh.
Yeah, his late wife, and we share that with him. The fact that we both, at different times in our lives, we lost our loved one.
Hmm.
Our lives.
Hmm.
So he is in the record. Gerson will be playing the electric on Thursday, and we got a couple more other gigs coming up as well later this year. And Steve Langon. Steve Langon is an amazing drummer. He's
Yep.
someone that I played for many many years as well. Steve is someone that comes from the school of Alan Dawson. I mean, he was
Hmm.
Alan
Hmm.
was one of the most amazing teachers Boston ever had. I mean, we've been so lucky to have these people in this area in our lives. Alan Dawson, who played with Dave Brubeck and so many other people. Uh, so he went from jazz into Brazilian jazz, Latin jazz. He can play, and then we have a couple of tunes where Iggy is playing timbales and congas. Iggy Castillo. I mean, that guy. You bring him to the studio, and the place starts to.
Changes. It changes.
Oh man, he
Changes. Automatically
is
changes.
a powerhouse.
Yeah. It changes. It
I love the
changes.
guy. And the only thing is, like, he lives here in Framingham near my house, and we never see each other. You know what I mean? Something weird has to happen, for us to see each other.
Well, it's going to be happening Thursday. You know what makes this special for the people who live in the Boston area, greater Boston area, we invite you to come down. Put this on your map. A, it's early. It's a 6 to 8ish type of gig. So it's not 8 to 12. It's, you got early evening.
Mhm.
Second, it is a brewery. So therefore, if you're a consumer of fine beer, that's a place to go.
Yeah,
It's
they
a
have.
pop up. It's
Yeah,
a pop up.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
a pop up for good food to have a pop up, so you can order your food right there.
Mhm.
Um, but what it is that it allows you to hear high degree of musicianship at no cost to you, the client, the customer, the consumer, the
Yeah,
music aficionado, because the owner of the building that makes this possible. When you see Feldman, Geopatio, they're
yeah,
the ones basically subsidizing this through their largesse, using money as a way to create art in a space that is not artistic, but nevertheless, you can imagine becomes artistic. So they have made this brewery a very intimate artistic venue where you can hear some great music of great musicians from the area performing at no cost to you, but at least your presence is what uplifts the investment on the part of the company and on the part of the supporter of this type of music, who is a music aficionado and lover who respects the
yeah,
musicians and the music that they bring, and who respects the audience as well by bringing you top caliber music every single Thursday. So this is going to be an opportunity to hear very special type of music when you go on Thursday, because it's going to be Claudio Ragazzi. You already heard the musicians will be performing, including a Castillo, and I have the honor of being the host on that night, starting at 6 o'clock. Long live Roxbury at 152 Hamden Street in Boston. So we're looking forward to that. And so the idea of this type of project being sponsored by Boston Foundation is again what we were speaking earlier was Oscar. No, it's
Yeah.
how both the philanthropic community, how the ecosystem of the consumer, us, the listener, music aficionado, the lover of great music, can support each other so that work like the one you've done can come out and be part of our lexicon, be part of the canon of great music that comes out from this area. And we appreciate that you've been able to put this together. And you know what I love about it, Claudio, is that it is it's a journey. For me, when I hear the album, I'm going through a journey with you
Mhm.
of time and place and people and sounds that I appreciate. And the fact that you have Sahili there doing the magnificent work that she's doing on piano, it's not like I hear her playing a montuno or cha cha cha, right? It's another form of her showing her talent as a pianist. And of course, you mentioned Dan, who floats in any kind of music. I mean, Dan is just like, he's a bass. He floats in everything.
Yeah.
But I think that you take me through a musical journey with some beautiful music
Thank you.
that I hope people will embrace and understand that this is truly a work of love, a work of art, and a work that is needed to be supported and shared. You mentioned in the beginning of the show that I'm open to so many different kinds of music. The reason I'm open to many kinds of music is because I grew up listening to a lot of different types of music.
Mhm.
Because at the end of the day, for me, good music is good music.
Yeah.
As long as it's good music, it's going to be good music, and you're going to embrace it and say, "Wow, that's good music. I like that. That sounds good." And this, ladies and gentlemen, is an example of good music. And what you will be enjoying on Thursday is another example of some good music. I dare say great music. And Claudio, one of the things that we haven't spoken about is that part of your passion and part of your ability and creativity is what you do around films, scores, and
Yeah.
TV and things. Talk a little bit about how that came into your nexus of creativity.
Well, I mean, it's incredible what you're saying, because also the music is story, is storytelling. I mean, you hear the stories. Like, even we mentioned like Ruben Blades a minute ago. Like, people say no, Pedro Navaja is never going to sell. It's too long, but it's a story, right? And people are watching a film when they listen to that thing. So one of the things that I always did was as a kid was I learned new chords or new pieces, and then I start trying to tell a story with the music, right? Uh, in Boston, again, totally related to the community. I was playing with all these different people, and then all of a sudden, I met, through Gil Raldírez, Raquel Ortiz too. Raquel Ortiz was essential in terms of like saying, hey, we're gonna need some music for this documentary, blah blah blah. And again, I was lucky to get involved in a body of work and a type of movies that were either social documentaries, or there were documentaries about some specific things. La Plaza was one of the shows that was going on back then. I did a lot of music for that. WGBH was very, and so a lot of social documentaries and documentaries, as well as some independent films. And one of the things that I always tried to do was to bring, um, to try to use the vast Latin American vocabulary in a way, in a dramatic way, right? So instead of bringing in the cellos and maybe you can do something nice with, with percussion, or you can do something nice with some kind of cachao kind of bass. You know what I mean? So there's so much in terms of the vocabulary. So for many years, I would say late 80s, early 90s to the year 2010, when I started teaching a film composition at Berkeley. I don't teach guitar, at Berkeley. I teach film composition. And one of the things I try to do as much as I can is to bring that social aspect, the documentary element. And also I teach another class, which is basically I put them in a situation where I say, well, you got to learn, you're going to learn a particular style of music in 1 week. You're gonna have to have a crash course on, could be Brazilian music, and write something for a movie. Because a lot of film composers, we don't have the time. We're not scholars. We don't go to Harvard for 10 years, 15 years to learn about the music from a particular tribe or from a particular region. We need to be able to produce something fast, quick, and with the right sound, and with the right also being respectful to the cultures, you see. So film, it was through recording some television shows. Then I was lucky to meet the who was the mother of is the mother of Gabi, my daughter, Natacha Estebanes. She was an amazing producer. And talking about collaborations, those were the days where we were able to collaborate. GBH, Harvard, MIT, Berkeley, New England Conservatory, so many other, MFA, so many other institutions here in Boston, where we're all, working together for the benefit of the people. So we lost her. I mean, I lost her. She passed away in 2007, and after that, I went a little more into the teaching instead of keep working in that field. I still do some scoring, but it's a different mindset. And at the same time, it's similar, because when you are, even as a jazz improviser, the people we like to listen to are the storytellers. I mean, you listen to, it's all by Papo Luca, or Keith Jarrett, and so many others. They start with a little something, they build it up, and they tell you story. So what you're saying about being able to tell a story through music means a lot to me. Yeah.
Well, you're very good at it and exceptionally good at it, and I appreciate that you bring up the name of Natasha because, Divina thinks of you too often in that way. Whenever your name comes up, she quickly thinks about, because the role that she played in bringing you two together
Yeah.
as husband and wife. But the important thing for me from this conversation with you is that the role of creative minds, you speak of me being open, is the fact that you, as a musician coming from Argentina, from your cultural background, were able to assimilate all these different musical forms that you were listening to as a child, but also then come here and quickly find yourself listening to cuatro guitar that was not Venezuelan, Josie La Torre, Nueva Canción, Haciendo Punto Otro Son, música jíbara, música campesina, jazz, and all the things of that nature. That has to be part of your role as well. So it's not just the listener has to be open; the musician has to be open, right? You didn't say I'm only going to do this, because there are musicians who say I'm going to eat rice and beans every single day, and you're sitting there. Well, okay, that's nice. It
Yeah.
tastes good, but you should try a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and
Yeah.
then your palate becomes richer when you eat all these great foods, right?
Yeah. No.
Have you eaten anything?
I'm telling you, it is around time for dinner. You know what I mean? It must be, must be, but
And that's what I'm saying. I
but
got
the analogy
in
with,
4 minutes. In 4 minutes, the lights are going to go out because Divina's going to start flashing, like
oh
saying
my goodness.
dinner time at 7 o'clock.
I mean, I'll be honest with you, it's a little for everything, because there's something to say about the person who is playing the blues the way it was
Hmm.
played 100 years ago, or was playing
Hmm.
cuatro in the mountain there, Orocovi, whatever, and it's like, playing the stuff in the real authentical way. But then you have to also accept who you are. I was born in the city, you know what I mean?
Hmm. Hmm.
And I grew up between Buenos Aires and Boston, so I'm not gonna pretend to be, gaucho. I mean, I,
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
you know I have my mate, but I'm not I'm not a gaucho. I
Uh-huh.
was two questions. One, one person not too long ago asked me, but I thought that the Argentinians were all gauchos, you know? And then another, this is one for, you will laugh about it. You're Latin, so you're Latin American, so you speak Latin. Somebody asked me one time, but that's another story. But Jose, I mean, you have no idea how much I appreciate you. It's you have been so uh, essential to the history of the cultural history
Mm.
of this area, and I'm so happy because I know by the time when you were representing your Red Sox and other players, sports people, I think there was a talk, there was you were thinking about maybe moving out of Boston or
Right.
something.
Yeah, I'm going to Miami. Yeah,
No,
yeah.
no, 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 no. Don't let him go. So we've been lucky to have you. I used to play this concert with Josie La Torre in Amherst,
Mhm.
Holyoke, those communities.
Mhm. Mhm.
Coming back at 2 in the morning, driving, listening to Con Salsa, with Jose Mazo. Who wrote that theme? Who was that? Edgar Nevares? No, who
Edgar Nevares. Edgar
was Edgar?
Nevares.
No? Oh,
Yeah,
man,
it was Edgar. Yeah,
tune. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Edgar Nevares. And
You
now Frankie
still use
Rodriguez was.
still use
Yeah,
that, right?
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Still, yeah. You
man,
hear it. You hear
that's
it. Sigue
yeah,
la salsa con salsa y Jose Mazo. Yeah,
yeah.
that's it. That's the
That's
one.
it.
That's
I
the
used
one.
to listen. That was till what in the morning? You were till 2 in the morning.
I used to do it. Remember, there was a time I used to do it till 5 in the morning. Then I did it till whatever. Now I do it from 10 till 3 in the morning. And now people can download it on demand. So if they miss it, they can just go to the station wbur.org/consalsa and download the whole show so they can hear what they missed.
You
So you can
have
hear it.
DUR digitizing all that. I mean, because for people that don't know much about, or even for people like me that love all kinds of Latin music, to have access to that library, that's like a
Hmm.
Library of Congress type of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. But
You are the Julia. You're the Julia Child of music, my friend. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah.
Truly.
We've got a couple of projects that we're working on. I mentioned to you, I've been commissioned to write the history of for Latin music in Boston writ large. That includes all of Massachusetts and going into Hartford, which is going to be extensive as you can imagine. But it's a way for us to capture all of those stories, all that history, all the names that you mentioned, all the things that took place during the '80s in both at Inquilinos Boricuas en Acción, Herna's Cultural Center, Big Victoria. You mentioned Mercedes Sosa, Inti Limani. I mean, all those great things that happened during that period of time. We want to document it so people know who, how, where, when, why, and how it all came together and the impact that it had in people's lives
Well,
back
Jose,
then.
if I can help in any way, I mean, we brought Cachao
Yeah, yeah,
to
yeah,
Boston
yeah.
when he was playing. He was playing in Miami, an Argentinian restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
He was playing tangos actually, and boleros and tangos in a restaurant.
Yeah.
And he was saying, "Man, why do you want me here?" And we brought with Chocolate Armenteros on trumpet,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mauricio Smith on the flute. The
Mm-hmm.
band was crazy good. Um, I think the youngest person was Richie Flores was on,
Richie Florian Congas. Yeah,
but everybody else was from the days of the Mambo craze,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
the descargas. And shortly after that was when Gloria Estefan and the other actor, I can't think of his
Andy
name,
Garcia. Andy
Andy
Garcia.
Garcia, totally,
Yep.
started doing the videos and all that, and he became amazingly, popular to a certain degree, and his music became respected finally again.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Is
That was his second chapter in life.
Yeah,
That was the one that finally gave him his due recognition that he deserved to have in so many different ways. And you played a role in it the same way Alex and all the names we mentioned. But
yeah.
yeah, you will be one of the folks I'm going to be tapping on so that we can document this
I
great
I
history
love that. I
that
love
we have.
that.
So
And as you can say, I don't like talking at all. Sorry. Perdóname, ¿verdad?
that's what we do. Es solo que hacemos. So I'm going to remind folks that thanks to Michael Feldman, and thank you Sue Alclair, Michael
Yeah,
Feldman,
Claire as well.
Geospatial presents Jazz Night free admission this coming Thursday, 6 p.m. You'll have live music. It's a brewery, and they have a pop up. It starts at 6, and it's at Long Live Roxbury. I'll be your host, and Claudio Ragazzi and the quartet will be performing. Eggy Castillo will be an invited guest, special guest for that night. It's coming Thursday. The weather's cooperating, so we're looking forward to it. We have here some quick saludos. Lorik says, I remember Lalo Schifrin, and Claudio reminds me of him. I wish I could be there on Thursday.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lorik, for that. She applauds.
Thank
and
you.
Then,
Claudio, Lalo is another Claudio Schifrin from Argentina,
there you go.
And
There you
my parents used to go listen to him before he was discovered by Dizzy Gillespie in Buenos Aires,
Check that out. Check that out.
Amazing. Listen to the Suite Gillespiana, a work that he did, one of the first suites, Latin jazz suites that Lalo actually wrote for Dizzy,
Mm-hmm.
featuring,
There
amazing.
you go. And
So,
Jose and Claudio, saludos.
well, Eggy, actually, just one thing, just to make sure that people understand, Eggy is not going to be there on Thursday as a
Oh,
special.
he's not. I'm sorry.
No, he's a special guest in the record. So they
On the record, that's right. Okay. I thought he was going to join us for the record. For
just
his studio.
clarify, because these days, with Messi playing, not playing in Vancouver. I don't know if you heard all that stuff. That people go to see Messi and he's not playing, and they want their money back and stuff like that. So I want to make sure that
Yeah, but when the people went to Foxborough to see him play, he played and people loved it, and you could, yeah, it was
and I
like
couldn't go. The tickets were so expensive. A friend of mine says to me, "Man, I went. My friend works as a cleaning in the cleaning crew, right? So the friend got him all these shirts, with everybody got in with cleaning shirts, and then went in and they got the best seats in the house for free to see Messi. That was really, really amazing.
No, the tickets for Messi were more than the tickets are for next Thursday to see Mick Jagger and the Rolling Stones. That's to show you how popular Messi is.
My goodness.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Mick Jagger, Rolling Stone tickets here, Messi tickets up here. That's the way it is. But anyway,
I told Mick not to play the same day I play. What's wrong with this kid?
That's what I told him. I said, "Why are you coming to play? Don't you realize Claudio's playing that night?" He said, "Well, I'm sorry,
And another thing is this: for people who come right after work, they got someone that is cooking a Caribbean, island Caribbean food, from, and it's really good food actually. The George chicken and rice and beans and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So if people they make empanadas as well. So if people are hungry, they can eat something. It's a really nice environment.
No, it's a great environment. So Michael Feldman, if you're watching, thank you. So Claire, thank you. We look forward to seeing you there Thursday. I look forward to seeing everybody else there. And Huito Rodriguez, thank you for tuning in and say hello. We appreciate you. And Jose Arroyo here says, Jose and guests for another entertaining show. Thank you as well. And so, mi hermanito, te quiero mucho. Bendiciones para ti. Y si Dios permite, nos vemos el jueves.
Nos vemos el jueves, si Dios permite.
Okay.
Y saludos a Divina. Y again, you guys, you're an institution here in Boston.
Thank you.
In the US, and it's so cool. Yeah.
Thank you, mi hermano. Te quiero mucho. Bendiciones. El jueves, si Dios permite. Gracias por tu tiempo. Ciao. Okay, my friends. So that was Claudio Oscar. Sorry for the musical. I've been playing in the background, but I didn't dare. So that's the sound of the music, which unfortunately was not cooperating with us on this day. The album is titled Tributes and Tangos, and it's the Claudio Ragazzi Quartet, Tributes and Tangos. Until the next time, I thank each and every one of you. Spend a minute and commemorate during Memorial Day on Monday, which is tomorrow. And once again, this has been a D&J production inspired by the one and only my beautiful wife upstairs, Divina. And to all of you who are tuning in, thank you. Take care of each other, and I love you. God bless you. And until the next time, keep supporting music. It's important that we do. Bendiciones para todos ustedes. Gracias. Hasta la próxima vez. Bendiciones. Los quiero mucho. Cuídense, por favor. Y gracias.